This presentation is for current and new applicants to the annual series and event grant category. We're going to be talking about the changes that will be occurring this coming year and how that will impact the grant process and the awards. So my name is Rachel Morgan. I'm a program specialist at the Nebraska Arts Council. I just wanted to start off with a little reminder about the grant category, the annual series and event category, which we will refer to as ASE, just to make it a little bit easier as we go through the presentation, provides annual program support to organizations that produce and/or present the same event or series of arts events on a recurring basis. Organizations in this category must demonstrate consistent, excellent artistic, educational, and cultural value, responsiveness to their community, credible planning and evaluation strategies, and a high level of financial and managerial accountability. ASE grants support single arts events or a series of events that are open to the general public in the state of Nebraska. This category is open by invitation only, so it is a select group. If you have major changes in the leadership or programming of your project, you will want to contact the Nebraska Arts Council before the spring deadline to make sure that it still aligns with the category's guidelines and invitation criteria. So, purpose for the changes. And there's a couple of reasons for this. One is to simplify the grant process for the applicants and also for the Nebraska Arts Council staff. It has also been a concern that the awards in the grant category are not based upon the merit of the application. By basing all ASE awards on a panel review and scored every 3 years, we hope to raise the level of applications. So let's start with those changes. First is going to be a change in the deadline. In the past, we've had 2 deadlines for this category, one in the spring and one in the fall. To streamline the process, all of the applications will be due at the spring deadline. Normally, that's on March 15th. Because in 2026 that lands on a Sunday, we're moving that to March 16th, which is a Monday. So just in case there's any technical issues or any last minute questions, we are around to help with that. There will not be a fall deadline. So only a spring deadline. For those that normally apply in the fall, you will now apply in the spring prior to your event. Process changes. And this is where a lot of the changes start to happen. The application will have a 3-year cycle, which will streamline the application process for grantees and will ensure stable funding over an extended period. The first year, in 2026, applicants will submit a full application. A grant review panel will score the application, which will determine the annual funding amount for the following years. During years 2 and 3 of that cycle, applicants will submit a simplified interim report that is reviewed by the Nebraska Arts Council staff. That way, it will help you in your budgeting and your planning because you know what's going to be happening. Once that cycle is up, after the 3 years, we'll go back to panel and it will start all over again with year 1, 2, and 3. If the application is not deemed competitive by the panel or during the interim years, but all of the requirements have been met, the application will be funded for that year since the other grant deadlines will have already passed. but will not be invited back to apply in the ASE category in the following years. The applicant will then be encouraged to apply in the arts project grant or the mini grant category that following year. Information about request changes. Applicants that have been in this category previously will be able to request 10% more than they received last year. Final awards will not exceed the maximum amount of $7,500. New applicants to the category will receive a request amount based on the average of their arts project grant award over the previous 3 years. The score the application receives during the panel process will determine the annual funding amount for the following 3 years. Remember that grant awards are dependent on the amount of funding that the Arts Council receives. So that's why that first year, when you go to panel, it's really important to write the best application that you can, because that score will stay with you throughout that 3-year period. Here's a look at the timeline of what that will look like. In late January or early February, you'll receive an email stating how much you can request in the grant category, along with an access code for the grant system. For those of you that have been in this category previously, this is much like what you have seen in the past. March 16th is the deadline. As I said, normally it's the 15th, so this is just a day off because of that Sunday. And all of the applications are due by that point. In May, the grant panel will meet and review the applications. After the Nebraska Arts Council meeting in June, award notices will be sent out. All grant awards must be accepted through the grant system following the instructions that will be sent. That is just like we've done in the past, so that's no change. And the same as it has been in the past, there will be a final report due 30 days after the end date of your project. So what do you need to do right now? If you have updates that need to be made to your organizational information in the grant system, please let us know. That can include contacts, the mission statement for your organization, and/or banking information. If you typically apply in the fall, you may want to start gathering information to help you construct your application in the spring, because it's a different deadline than what you're used to. For more information, you can contact any of the program staff or any of the staff listed below. Jennifer is our grants and database administrator, and she is your main contact about questions for payments, or if there is a grant system question, if you're having a hard time logging in, or the system is giving you an error message, that type of thing. Both myself and Elizabeth can help with questions about the process, what narrative questions mean, or we can also take a look at those applications before you hit submit, and we can give you a staff review. We're more than willing to do that. I always tell applicants, don't wait until the day before the deadline. That's not a great time. But if you have your application in the system, say a week or two before the deadline, we're more than willing to take a look at it and read through and let you know if we have any questions.